it may be up, it may be down, but it's a long-term position, so you have it small enough so you don't care. And then I add in when I get the setups I'm looking for. Okay, that's how it works. Like I say, everything is better than expected in theory, right? Inflation rate 6.7, a little bit higher. Core inflation a little bit higher. This is all out of the UK. 0.5 higher. PPI better than expected. Interesting. Okay, so that's kind of notable. This is the import is more. This is not as good, right? 0.4 higher than expected. Retail sales out of the UK higher than expected, and year-over-year almost the same. Bundesbankspiegel, Wurmling. 10-year bond auction 2.9 versus 2.78, and then we have mortgage 7.7 applications. Look, it's statistically really hard to get excited about mortgages right now, just because of the interest rates right now. And a lot of things, no matter how you slice and dice it, when you basically have a mortgage debt at one point in time, the 30-year, you could have bought it at under 3%, right? Now it's 7%, 7.7%. You have to make a hell of a lot more money in terms of affordability, right? To get the same sort of bang for your buck, right? Brazil retail sales better than expected, year-over-year better than expected, and then we have our building permits, housing, and then we have the EIA. Yeah, so we go from there. And the API crude was a bigger draw. So we'll see how things play out. Walker, Williams, Bowman, and 2 o'clock, the beige book. This is notable because it just shows us the regional activity. So the different regions are reporting. So that actually can be notable. It is something, believe it or not, that the Fed does look at, okay, in terms of data. We'll see. Obviously, it's jobs. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody else? 5 Fed heads talking today. And Waller starts at 12. I mean, they've all been pretty much saying the same thing, pause, right? But we don't know why rates are higher. It's like, just sometimes I wonder, you know what I mean? It's just, sometimes it's better just to keep your mouth shut and not show how little you know than basically tell everybody how little you know. All right, so here we go, ASML. It's I have to be very articulate about this. When you have destabilization, deglobalization, you have trade wars, and you have wars. No good comes from that. Be careful what you're doing here, okay? And I know, but what they're doing is destabilizing when it comes to this China impact stuff, okay, on the trade side. For every action, there's a reaction, okay? Be careful. You're not going to like what's going to happen here, all right? I've been in I thankfully, I've been on this earth for 6+ decades, 6.5 decades, well, 6.6 decades. Anyways, I've seen a lot in my time. No good comes from trade wars, period, exclamation point. They are inflationary. Supply chain disruptions, imports. Ex-President Trump is basically saying that he wants to put 10% import duties. Well, guess what? Tit for tat sort of stuff. No good comes from this. Watch Boyle. I think it's going to start breaking out again. Okay. P&G, look, I mean, everybody dumped it. Everybody dumped value, consumer staples, stuff like that. Now they're saying, well, maybe, and oil, well, maybe we kind of want to be in this stuff. I'm just saying, maybe now we want to be in this stuff. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. ABT, good numbers. Alley. Travelers, not so good. CFG, Citizens, Financial, ouch. 10-year 2.9 versus 2.78. 2.9 versus 2.78. Anyways, I've seen a lot in my time. No good comes from trade wars, period, exclamation point. They are inflationary. Supply chain disruptions, imports. Ex-President Trump is basically saying that he wants to put 10% import duties. Well, guess what? Tit for tat sort of stuff. No good comes from this. Watch Boyle. I think it's going to start breaking out again. Okay. P&G, look, I mean, everybody dumped it. and then we have this afternoon, right? And I have to tell you about this. When things happen and it doesn't make any sense, selling of the dollar, safe haven is now crude and gold. We know that, silver, some of these commodities. The bonds selling off the way they are, and we see nothing to support that. That statistically equals a sovereign fund, okay, normally because of the US dollar selling component. This is just basic common sense. To the degree that we're seeing these bonds moving, it's big. You cannot move these bonds to the degree that they're moving without a lot of money going through. The US dollar does not move like that. Gold does not move like that. Oil does not move like that. Unless there's something, the tech side, all this stuff, there's something going on, okay? And I've said this before, okay? When you start to do this deglobalization, it's everyone for themselves. It's everyone for themselves. Okay, we have a dysfunctional political system. You can't get, I mean, we can't even get a freaking Speaker of the House, right? You have a lot of dysfunction going on. You have higher interest rates, and the Fed is saying, well, we don't know why. Well, the reason why is because overseas entities are selling our assets. And if they have to support their currency or whatever, they're going to sell the US dollar to support their currency. It's going to be asset sales to support their currency. That's how it looks. But don't forget, if you have higher interest rates overseas, i.e. UK, right? I'm just saying, think about it. Just put a little common sense into this. And Middle East, and you have to understand, last time we saw this was a 2-week period, and the Norwegian government pension fund trimmed, okay, its overweight exposure to tech. Okay, there is something going on here. China, you know what's going on here. You basically are going to put on the chip side, you're going to do that sort of stuff. Guess what? I'm going to sell your assets. And you know what? That sovereign wealth fund, how much do you think is in bonds, US assets? Just think about it, okay? This is what happens. I don't care whether it's morally right or morally wrong from a macro / investment standpoint. No good comes from this. From a stock perspective, interest rate perspective, commodities perspective, no good comes from this rhetoric. Okay, you can look, the market is telling us this, right? It's telling us this. So this is probably, in terms of where we are, one of the most volatile potential times in quite some time, okay? And I trimmed a little bit of my VXX for obvious reasons, because it's a volatile, it has not taken out last week's high. If we take out last week's high, which is like a triple top up there, let's say breaks and holds 26, then I'll be in it. But, you know, so I had a 1.5%, 2% position. Now I only have a 1% position. That's what I've been doing, okay? It's just, you have to understand the mechanisms going on right now. Whether you accept my narrative or not, it's my narrative. That it's like I teach. It's muscle memory. This is stuff that kicks in from doing this stuff as a globalist for decades. Okay, I'm not an isolationist. I'm an institutionalist, and I'm a globalist. So you can see how I wring my hands at times, because I know no good comes from this. Okay, seriously, guess what? You want a tweet? They're going to charge you a buck. What the hell? I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. Okay, yesterday, you know, look, coal, I like coal. I've been oil, gas, you know, these are the things I'm in. Only thing I'm not in is solar stuff, okay? And as you can see, computer transports, medical, generic drugs, indices, right, down a little bit, but I want to explain something to you. Okay, last time we were in this sort of setup. Okay. And a lot of this has to do with going back to 2022. Okay. The XLE got as high as 63% return. Okay. Look at where the XLE is now. Okay, so year to date, building residential, you can see what's up here. Okay. Oil, gas, energy. Okay. This is year to date, friends. Okay. I believe this has the potential to go green. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. And it can happen really, really, really fast. FYI. Okay. Technically, why AI is now a real threat. Okay, I don't know. I mean, Israel says it's not me. You know, it's just horrible. This is what happens. It's just horrible. Like I say, if the U.S. wanted to do something, send one of your mercy ships out there and let the Palestinians go on those ships. Because Egypt is not happy about a lot of this stuff. You got so many cross currents going on right now between the different Muslim sects. It's just, I just think, you know, so Israel says, Egypt says, well, why don't you host them in the Negev desert? Why not? I mean, they're not going to do it, but why not, right? I don't know. What do we got? Feeling flat, high stakes trip. Okay, I will tell you something. Netanyahu is basically a sleazy. How he got reelected, he's a criminal. He should actually be in jail. Okay, this is a fact. I'm not, okay. This is how these coalitions work in Israel, because he kowtowed to the extreme in terms of the religious extreme. So that's how he got his majority. Okay, now, because his government's going to crumble after what's going on right now, he has a coalition going on because he can't survive without that coalition. All right. I don't know how I feel about this, to be honest with you. All I know is from a moral and ethical point of view, I feel for a lot of Israelis, but I also feel a lot for the Palestinian people. But, you know, 50% of them basically supported Hamas. 50% didn't. So it's like, what are you going to do here? This is what the statistics tell us. United War Impact, housing wars, still no speaker. Good luck with that. Okay, what do we got? What do we got? Good morning, son. This is still going on. Okay. For the panel. What can I do for you, son? On Friday, yes.
Friday.
Yes. What are the rules? Yeah. No.
No, no, yeah, no.
And? And? Oh, yeah. Listen to? And? Correct. All right, have a good day, son.
All right.
Are you taking it? I'm out of it if you take this. I don't have any here.
Okay, okay. What does the doctor?
It's not, I can't renew it till middle of November. No.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so here we are year to date. Okay, energy. All right, so I think we're going to start to see this. Oh, what is it today? I'm sorry. That's right. So I think this is going to shift. I think materials are going to go up. I don't know about financials, industrials, energy. So these are things, healthcare. I think all of these are going to start moving higher. Okay. Like I say, this is what I'm seeing. Real estate is tough for me, but consumer staples, I think, starts to move higher. Utilities. So I'm taking from Peter to give to Paul on some of these things on a, well, it's valuation, but it's also growth. Okay. I mean, anyways. I do not with oil and stuff like that in this sort of setup. This is a monthly chart. Okay. Don't pick tops. Don't go short. Like I say, I'm still in UCO and I bought a little bit of SCO as a hedge. Okay. I'm still in more UCO so than SCO. Okay. But it's almost pretty much comparable right now. Okay. Just so you know. Okay. I have not sold any of my silver. I've told you this. I basically loaded up when it got down to low 20s. I posted it for everybody, and we'll see how it plays out. Okay. I just don't, I think these these industrial metals have really serious legs to them. All right, so here we go. This is seasonality for Tesla. This is the second strongest month for them, okay, in the year. But it's great to look at, and there is that statistical probability, okay? But we are in really interesting times right now, and I think that Tesla can, if anything, can pop the top. Okay, well, start to go higher, but I'm just not. I'm not there yet. Okay, I am overweight. Look, I have a TSLS spread on. Okay, 1.5 to 1, mainly because it's earnings and I have no idea what's going to happen here. Okay, and I have a put butterfly on it and I have calls. That's how I do it. I just, you know, this is going to be in earnings. Okay, so for me right now, the way it's looking, you better knock the ball off the cover, okay, in order to get any sort of whippy. And then if you disappoint, you're looking at 5-10+% downside, okay? And a lot of people are actually starting to think about that. Housing affordability, okay? This is what it takes to afford where you live. Northeast, 160,000, Providence, 112,000, Baltimore, 93, Philadelphia, Hartford, and then you see Buffalo, 63,000, and off you go. Okay. Irregardless, and like I say, this has to make sense to people, and I know a lot of people are really aggressively anti-union, and I understand that, and I think that they basically are shooting for the moon, and I think that some of this stuff is totally unrealistic, but these are catch-up type inflationary moments for these people who didn't get paid when everybody changed jobs with COVID and got paid like a ton, right, to switch jobs. And I know, but housing affordability, this is pretty tough here. Denver, 150,000, Salt Lake City, Utah, 122,000, San Francisco, median price home in San Jose is 1.6 million. God bless. No, but they're talking about a housing crash. I don't know. Okay. All right, I want to show this to you. Our global exports are 2.1 trillion. China's global exports are 3.6 trillion. Okay. We're basically the two largest global exporters are basically pissing on each other right now. Okay. No good comes from this. And from a moral ethic, I don't care. This is business wise. Right. And that's what we do here. We talk business. We talk stocks, investments. That's what we do here. No good will come from this. And I keep saying that, and it keeps happening. Okay, no good will come from that. Bitcoin ETF approvals could add, yeah, but I mean, seriously, whatever, but no. What the hell is that all about? Anyways. All right, let's talk. This is Carolyn Borden's work. The reason why I bring this to your attention is because we are entering some cycles, okay? And next week, these are cycles coming in on the NASDAQ, and you can see that right here. There's a cycle right here as well. Okay, so there's cycles coming in. We're at resistance levels, okay? And this was last week, okay? So coming back down, the goal would be, if we do sell off, that this would be a cycle low coming in. In my head, that's what I'm thinking. We sell off, okay? And don't forget, seasonality says that next week is just shit show. All right, so let's talk about these. This is basically geopolitical risk index, okay? This is important. And the reason why I point this out to you is because there's a lag time, okay? With the Ukraine, there wasn't. But with all this other stuff, there's a lag time. As geopolitical risk goes through, okay, you don't actually get the impact. And the lag time can be months, years. Just be aware of this, okay? We didn't see it with the Gulf War, okay? But you have to understand, this is where we are right now in terms of geopolitical risk. So this is obviously 9/11 was number one, Gulf War, Iraq invasion, 2, and 3, Ukraine 4, and then now we're here, this is 5, okay? The VIX is not properly reflecting this at this point in time. Ergo, I have at all points in time a VIX trade on. It can be 0.5% up to 3%, okay? Exposure. And when I really get worried, it can be up to 5%. Right now I'm at 1%, okay? And if we take our last week's high, I will make that 1.5%. Okay. I'm talking out loud. I'm explaining my narrative, what I'm doing, so you understand. Okay. All right. Michael Berry. The dude is short. I mean, he's all in on the short side, right? Real estate, 34% from a year ago in terms of foreclosures. Whatever. Housing starts. Annualized actual 270, forecast 250. So I don't know what to tell you there. I mean, overnight financing 5.31%. Share of credit card firms down pre-market after report. Fed to propose lowering debit card swipe fees. This is the Fed. What does that tell you? I don't like, look, as an institutionalist, I don't like when Treasury, stuff like this, transportation, all this stuff, when they get involved, okay, like FDA, well, FDA is a little bit different, but you know what I mean in terms of getting involved with some of this stuff. Okay, I don't like it. Fire in southern Iranian refinery. Okay, if the Iranians participated at all with this Hamas strike, Israel will do something. I'm telling you right now, on a targeted basis, they will do something. Okay. Expected to travel to the Middle East and Qatar and Turkey. China's President Xi Jinping is to work with Russia in grain and energy security. When the global order shifts, when I share with the room, this is my largest exposure to gold, silver, okay, overweight, okay. This is muscle memory kicking into me, where I see a narrative where you have to be, even Bitcoin, okay, as an asset class, okay, you have to understand how this works globally outside the United States. And most people are taking this for granted, and they don't understand what's going on. It's a safe haven, right? Bond buying, okay. Bank of Japan is selling a bonds, guys. I mean, hand over fist. When the first 5 days, we know this. Look, I understand, but when you have a risk setup that we have, geopolitical risk setup that we have, okay, going back decades, okay, as the 5th highest setup, okay, a lot of this stuff, it looks good, but from a macroeconomic standpoint, you have to be cautious. Equals, I have said since August, I'm hedged and I have cash, okay, since August. And I've said since August, okay, and then I said in August, well, earlier than that, I'm overweight energy. And then I said to everybody when I piled into gold and silver, okay, I'm in all the commodities, right? I've said this and I've shared this with you. And look, I bloviate, and I know that a lot of people don't care what I have to say, and that's okay. They don't even question some of my ideas. But if you listen to what I say, okay, and you think about it, right? Okay, my hit rate's really up there on the big picture stuff, okay? I am still in high beta. I am still in FNGU, but I'm hedged against it, okay? This is the one thing, the geopolitical risk, plus if there's a bad earnings cycle, we could have the setup, and I continue, this is in my head, this is what I see potentially happening. The October, November, December of 2018, if we have an earnings disappointment, it's that big a deal, okay? Look at what happened in October, November. Everybody lowered guidance. There was, it really mattered. And then we had the monster rally, the Christmas at the end of the year, okay? Okay? I'm just saying. Who knows stage at Belleville Gathering in Beijing? Yeah, whatever. Okay, what are we seeing? We continue to see a shift down on cutting interest rates by year end. Okay. Tesla, Hughes, nothing. Okay. This was when you see these kind of movements and nothing's happening on the option side, I can tell you right now. It's all equity stuff going. Okay. Like I say, I still think that when you see these kinds of big movements happening on golds, bonds, US dollar, that's a sovereign entity, right? Whether you believe me or not. Okay. ESTC, FWRG. So I'm starting to look at these, like PTLO. I'm starting to look at these again as a bounce. This is what I'm looking at right now. So far, so good. I've trimmed back a lot of my Chewy. Look, if I can get, 7-8% in a week on something, I'm gonna trim it and take it, right? I mean, right? That should make sense to everybody. And that's what we're getting right now in some of these bounces. So see, this SQM is interesting. That's, neutral to underperform. But, seriously, Cameron, 1%. Seriously. Even these right here, we have such a better hit rate. Sorry about that. But Steve, I don't want to pick on you, but in this room, we have much better hit rate than 58%. Right? I'm just saying, right? Wolf, that's interesting. Stifle, 73%. Shlomo also 71% initiates to buy. So these are not schlubs, right, from Stifle. whatever you think about the firms, when someone has a 71, 73%, I pay attention to that. I haven't done anything with Wolf, FYI. So be aware of that. So Spirit Aerosystem got a nice pop today, right? I am long it on a just because it was an A++. I don't have a lot on it's only 0.5%, but that actually helps. The presser that came out with the agreement with Boeing, so that does help support the stock, right? So, and Roger posts every morning for us, the big stuff, right? So maintains initiations, but Fang, buy to buy, but lower, whatever. Subash, MRO Marathon. So anyways, keep an eye on that stuff. All right, what do we got? J&J, Rockwell, and Public Services. And J&J actually goes out to December, FYI. Rockwell's November, end of November, and Republic, right? Okay. And soybeans, that. And then we're back with State Bank of India. What do we got? Credit default swaps may be flashing a warning. Okay. This is crossovers. 14-week. I don't know how they came up with the AMAs. I don't use that one, but flashing. Muni bond funds suffer historic discount. Closed in. Wow. Guys. This goes back to 1989. Okay. And this is a divergence when you think about it, a bullish divergence, actually. So this is, NUV, VMO, VGM, those guys. Well, it actually hasn't taken out this low. Oh, if it did, it's barely, but this is a big H, right? I don't know what to tell you on this one. All I know is that we could have a little bit of a waterfall event here coming in when you get this sort of discount. Okay. And this discount, this is a financial crisis, right? And this is, COVID. So just be aware of that. Average total return of 5 closed-end muni funds after this discount. It's actually bullish. Okay, FYI. I'm not sure how I would play it though. Okay. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Because these are close. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how I would play that yet. But maybe that'd be KQ. I don't know, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at it. Bonds. Whoop, whoop. So TLT is now back down here. It actually, we'll see if it holds. This would actually be bullish if it holds here. High yield coming down, investment grade LQD coming down, and the bond optics coming down. So basically, this is setting up for another bounce. Okay. Gold. Hedges are still hedged, right? Held. Breath. Obviously, this is in no way. The people are selling. Okay. I'm just saying they're selling. All right. This is actually, what's up. XOT, XLP, CRE, 3 days. MLP's XLP, GLD, right? You can see here. Pretty neutral, actually. 5 days. Really neutral. Okay. All right. Liquidity premiums, we'll see how this plays out. I don't know what to tell you. So this is the SPY liquidity premium. Okay, so let's talk here. I said, right, that I think a lot of what we're seeing right now is back stuff going through, at least on the option side. We're seeing some longer dated sweeps coming in out to 2026, out to UN, stuff like that. And then we have this, not a good feel or look. And then we have this, a really good feel or look. So I showed you the Keelan board and work because of the cycles, timing cycles and price cycles. So that's what I'm thinking next week. Okay, we get softness and then basically with the earnings season, right? And then we'll see what happens beyond that. That's what I'm thinking right now. That's my story, sticking to it. Okay, let's take a peek. Bonds. I mean, neutral, basically. Okay. Canada up. Everybody's up, 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 up. UK really up. Australia's up, and Japan and Hong Kong are down. Nothing there, but actually going continues to steepen. All right, here we are. You know the drill. Okay, we hold that low. If not, next leg down coming 108, 115. That's the weekly. Okay. And then if we break that, this is actually 105, and then you've got, I hate to say this, below 100. And this is all why the Fed says, we don't know what's going on. 510, this is pretty much set in stone there. That I don't want. That I don't want either. Okay. All right. China. This is the range. We're not going anywhere. And then you can see here that German rates basically held the pullback on a monthly basis and still holding this multi-month consolidation breakout, right? That goes all the way back, yearly breakout. Okay. Dollar. Pop, pull back. It doesn't matter. The dollar's going down. Chinese New Yuan. Still hasn't broken out, but it will. I mean, the longer, you know the rules. The longer you stay up in an upper quadrant or lower quadrant, the higher the statistical probability that it breaks. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin here. Okay, we looked. Moving on. Okay, commodities. What do we got? Gold, silver, copper. Platinum's down, palladium's down, crude, natural gas. I like the setup coming in right now in natural gas again. Okay, aluminum, all these industrial metals. I mean, all these industrial, copper, nickel, all that stuff. I'm in wheat, I'm in soybeans, I'm in all that stuff, agricultural side. And then oats are up as well. And all this feeds into higher prices. This feeds into, on the wheat side, the grain side, you'll see a move in cattle, and because it's more expensive, right? Watch lumber, you know the drill. Okay, natural gas. Okay, so 3026, this is holding, okay? Pulled back, reclaimed. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Just keep an eye on that. That's a positive setup for that. Crude pulled back right into the 10 EMA on the monthly, 82.33. We're in this range. The statistical probability that we break out on the upside is high, but irregardless, this is going to be probably a multi-month consolidation pattern right now. Crude gold, double bottom, starting to move. Gold, double bottom. I loaded up. I loaded up. And then let's look at silver. I haven't done this in a while, so you can see. This is the one I'm in. Is load it up. Okay. And the reason why I show this to you, because if you continue to go back in time, right? This was a really strong pivot. Now, it could have broken down below here, right? I would have, if it had broken and closed below this pivot, then I would have, trimmed it back, and then I would add back in down here. So far, so good, but it's all about risk
Beth
reward.
ready to pop on here.
Okay.
Alrighty, guys, morning. What's going on? Let me just pop up the screen share here. We get right into it. So if you guys are new to chat, have you done so? Make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're gonna pop into chat. It's gonna look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, click on this disclaimer section, give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section and scroll to the very top. Top of the section, you got a link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, guys. Most important ratio in trading, so definitely worth checking out there. Continue to scroll down. We have the summary of how this chat works, breaks down all the channels work on the left-hand side, so you can properly navigate the chat throughout the day. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below that, options rules that we like to use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules that we use every single day. So if you're following along on the SPX ideas, certainly important to understand those. Continue to scroll down. We have any of a small account, less than 10K, breaking down. If you do have a smaller account, less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place so you can better manage that account. Then last but not least, we have the high conviction small account trades posted in that area when they do make sense. All right, pre-market checkers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. So Tesla, NVIDIA, ALB, FND, SPR, and SPRC. So Tesla gapping down and see what the market's saying with NVIDIA. ALB, both the securities downgrades to underperform from neutral. Price target 161 from 212, gapping down there. FND, Floor and Decor holdings to join S&P Mid Cap 400. SPR, Spirit Aerosystems, Boeing enters into a memorandum of an agreement. Gapping up and SPRC fading off from last day's little move there. And I think it's got a little bit more room in it to the downside. So figured I'd keep it on the board. All right, let's take a look what we got going on today, guys. A couple different things. So Tesla, NVIDIA, first two we're going to be looking at here. Let's have a gander. All righty, so Tesla, guys. Okay. All right, so pivot to the upside today on Tesla, guys, is going to be 254.16 level holds, 256.11 to 259.65, unable to hold 251.92 to 247.30. 43 on the downside. Going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is in a pretty interesting spot. We talked about this yesterday, how it broke the the 50 EMA, wasn't able to just reclaim it, and we'll see what happens with it today. Obviously 544 is going to be a big level to the upside if it does get any more of a bounce, but for now we're pretty much in the middle of the last day's range. 434.24 pivot levels able to hold 444.58 to 453.65, unable to hold. We revisit last day's low around that 424.41 level. If that level breaks, 415.33 on the downside. Going to be leaning right now at the moment bearish neutral unless that pivot point is able to be reclaimed, I should say. That is Tesla. That is NVIDIA. Let's take a look at the next two. Quickly screenshot these. All right, next two guys, we got ALB and FND. So ALB guys pivot to the downside today, 166.04, unable to hold. 162.02 to the 156.64, able to hold. We got room back towards 172.33 to 178.72. On the upside, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. I think it's going to hold the level. A little bit of a grind higher. Don't think we're going to see too much action on this name today, but that's what I'm looking at the moment. Let's take a look at FND. $90.63 pivot level holds 92, 95 to 95.12. Unable to hold, we look for pullback towards 88.36 to 86.27. Downside leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. So that is ALB, that is FND. All right, next two, my friends, we got the SPR and SPRC. Didn't realize that that SPR got or was all the way back down here. Okay, so pivot to the upside today, 1899 level holds in 1954, 2026, unable to hold 1822 to 1726 on the downside. Going to be leaning bullish neutral. So looking for a hold of that pivot and a grind higher. I think that's going to get back into the 20s here. And we'll see how much more it can grind higher. And then this SPRC, which actually I can probably just do on the daily chart or intraday chart. I'm just going to label this one right here. See that, obviously this. All right, pivot to the downside, 555 levels able to hold 708 to 841. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 449 to 348 on the downside. I'm leaning bearish here, looking for a continuation lower if that pivot point is unable to hold. So that is SPR and SPRC. All right, let's take a look at the spine of the fang here. All right, guys, market 434.22 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold 438.08 to 441.40. Unable to hold 431.43 to that 428.49. So, you know, we've been trading around the range. We're doing really well in the SPX. But you have to trade the range, guys. So off the bottom to off the top. That 50 EMA is obviously being a wall. 13 EMA is being a really nice support on the daily. And I think you're probably gonna get more of the same today. And then obviously we got Tesla and the Netflix after hours, which should give the market a little bit more direction in the short term. But until then, I think we're still going to be stuck trading within that little range that we're being within for the last couple, I guess week and change. So just use the same levels to trade off of. They do work and they have been working. 176.80 pivot to the downside today on Apple. This level is unable to hold. We have room for continuation lower into the 173.87. Able to hold 179.77 to 182.12. Overall, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side today if that pivot point is unable to hold. All right, so that's Apple. Let's take a look at Amazon. $131.83 pivot, levels unable to hold, room towards 128.91. able to hold 133.36 to 135.35 on the upside. Going to be leaning bullish neutral on Amazon. Still flagging on the daily. Looks fine in my opinion. Just got to get back above that pivot short term for a little bit more of a push. And I've really liked the price action as of late on it. So we'll see what happens there. Now Netflix, we'll see what happens this thing before earnings today. I would think it's going to get bought up a little bit. It's just acted like shit for so long, and it's made a huge move as of late to the downside. So I'm thinking we get a little bit of buying on it, but key pivot 351.76, able to hold 357.45, 360.38, unable to hold 347.15 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral only if that pivot point is able to be reclaimed. So that is Netflix. Take a look at Google. Sorry, Meta. I mean, you gotta love that Meta chart too. It's just such a thing of beauty. Really is. Pivot to the upside today, 324.85. Level hold 330.80. Unable to hold 317.27, 311.56. Leaning bullish. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. Let's take a look at Google. I think Google also looks pretty damn good on the daily chart. Nice little flag break set up for continuation higher. Very similar to Meta's chart. Or I should say Meta is very similar to Google's chart. Because Google's been stronger for longer. Excuse me. All right, here we go. So 139.85 pivot level holds 141.31 to 142.56. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback into 138.39 and 136.71 downside, leading bullish neutral. Looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold as well. That's Google. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs and IWM. VIX 1861 pivot level holds 1927 to 2022. Unable to hold 1813 to 1776 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold. And let's take a look at the QQQs. $365.42 pivot levels able to be reclaimed. 369.27 to 370.363. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback into the 362.66 to 358.65 downside, leaning on the bullish neutral side only if that pivot point can hold. There we go. Last but not least, guys, SPX. $43.54 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 43.85, 44.12. Unable to hold 43.28 to 43.05 downside, leading bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold. So that is the SPX. All right, so that's the SPY, that's the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Going to go ahead and pass it over to South Beach, while I quickly type up that pre-market action plan, then we'll do a quick little recap before the open. South Beach Pretty, actually, is he out today? No, he's there. Yeah, it's all yours, my friend.
Okay. Hi. What'd you think I wasn't there?
Is it tomorrow you're out? Or I can't remember.
Tomorrow, I think I'll be here for the morning, like now,
Yeah.
and I'll leave most of the day because I'm flying down, and I'll be here for flight leaves at 11, 12, 1. I'll be at my post probably 2-ish.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, no,
thinking.
no worries. I just couldn't remember the exact day.
Yeah, so that's the deal. All right, guys. So all right, so let's see technically how the market looks this morning. Okay. Still having trouble with that 50-day moving average on the S&Ps. It gets to that level and seems practically every day for what, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last 6 days. It gets to the 50 and fails, and then it hits the 10-17, which are basically at the same level, and bounces. So we really have a pretty tight trading range as of late in the daily on the S&P. All right, on the weekly, it looks fine. EMA support, no daily crossover, etc., etc. It looks pretty good. All right, Qs has EMA support on the daily with everything, all the moving averages that I look at, 10, 17, 50, and 100. And it looks pretty good. All right, on the weekly, it has the same. Again, looks pretty good. And with all the stuff going on in the world, that's pretty impressive, right? Let's look at the transports, which have had a good few days. All right. It too keeps failing at the 50 on the daily and keeps bouncing off the 10-17, or it has for the last few days. All right. On the weekly, it doesn't have EMA support on the 10-17, but more importantly, it does on the 50 and 100 week moving averages. So it, again, is in that really tight trading range. Okay. So that's the transports. And the one that's been giving us the most trouble, right? The Russell finally has obtained EMA support on the daily on the 10 and 17. It's trying to break this down channel. It's not quite there yet, but it is trying, and it looks better than it did. And on the weekly, it's, you know, what, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th time it's really gotten down to these levels. It bounced the previous 4. It has no EMA support, and we'll see how it does. Okay, so that's really the technicals on everything. All right, let's look at the bond market first, okay, which is what we love to do. Okay, and the bonds are basically trading. It looks like they closed at a closing high yesterday. I think it was a little bit higher intraday, but nevertheless, it's 4.862. And it's up minimally 0.01. So basically kind of unchanged from yesterday, up a tinge. All right. The 2-10-year spread is becoming less important, which I've been saying, and it's trading at 34, which is the low end of the long trading range. And the short end of the curve is kind of quiet, nothing really going on there. And most of these, you know, you look across the yield curve, and the 2 years trading at highs, and the 6-month is trading at, you know, at highs, and the 1 year is trading at highs, or, you know, within spitting distance of highs. I mean, if you want to get really technical about it. As far as rates in London, they're up quite a bit this morning, 0.08, pretty much across the curve on the long end. Yeah, pretty much across the curve on the whole thing. Okay, except the 3 and 6 month. All right, and Germany's quiet, Italy's quiet, France is quiet, like that. Okay. Let's look at commodities. So we have oil up at 87.72, 80.90 trading range. We'll see if it can hold that. And natural gas, which broke out above 3, is holding those gains. Came in a little bit, but, you know, this thing has been pretty quiet. You know, the volatility in the gas market has been less than past times. And we'll see if it can hold that $3 level. My guess is it can, but we'll see. Okay. Gold has been pretty good, you know, as a safety trade. It traded down like last week or the week before, and it's regained all the loss and is trading kind of sort of where it was. good safety trade, especially with you know, the deficit that we have and all. Copper trading range and these agricultural commodities are awfully quiet. Currency wise, dollars up against North America, down a little against the yen, where we really haven't moved from this 731 level in China or the 105 and 121 level in the euro and the pound. It's been a big lack of volatility on the currency side as of the past few weeks, I'd say. All right, Bitcoin is down 0.75%. Ethereum is up 1%, and that's really it there. And let's look at the foreign markets. All right, so we have the FTSE down 0.6, the DAX down 0.6, the CAC down 0.6. Nikkei is dead flat. China's down about 1%, and Hong Kong's down 0.2. Taiwan is down 1.21%, probably on the restriction of high-end chips to China. All right, so there's your backdrop. So the big news of the day, of course, is, well, we have the banks and Fed. Let's just do that. And we have 5 Fed governors speaking today. I mean, it's pretty clear. 92-8 is the percentage of no move at the next meeting. And unless something comes out of left field, I would say that there's a pretty good chance that Fed is done for now. So I think that's important. I'm just reading what someone wrote. Okay, so that's the bond market. China and Russia we'll discuss in a minute. Crypto we already discussed. Mr. Market, I think the performance of Mr. Market, considering all the bad news that we've been seeing geopolitically and otherwise, is extraordinary. And what's working is, I think, trade smaller, find individual names that either have relative strength or weakness, and don't trade the market as a commodity. You know, it's too tough. Group rotation is very difficult. You got to look for these special situations, and that's what I think is working. Okay, yesterday I think the S&P was basically unchanged, if I remember. So, yeah, S&P was unchanged. The Dow was up 13. I mean, it was really quiet, right? But there was stuff to do. Big oil and gas had a good day. Material stocks had a good day. Restaurants, solar, retail, insurance. The negative stocks were Chinese stocks and sevens. So that brings us to today. So the big news, of course, is Biden's in Israel. Hopefully he will stay safe there. And I would expect, hopefully the cool heads will prevail and he'll be able to do some kind of diplomacy. More likely, I guess, unfortunately, would be a ratcheting up of the war when he leaves the ground. So we'll see what happens. It's a real mess, guys. And no one's, this is a no-win situation for both the Palestinians, the Israelis, the world, the Arab world, the Jewish world, the whole world. It's a freaking mess. And I wish there was an end in sight, but at the moment, it doesn't look that way. The hospital bombing, Israel says they did it. They said Israel. It's tragic. Either way, any way you slice it, okay? And unfortunate and emotional and all the other adjectives you want to throw at it. Okay, so hopefully Biden's fine. He can do what he needs to do, say what he needs to say, and get the hell out of Dodge. He was supposed to go to Jordan on some humanitarian mission, and that fell apart when the hospital got bombed. So maybe that can resurrect itself. We'll see what happens. I don't think the odds of that are good at the moment, but that's what we got. Okay. There are 5 Fed governors speaking today. My guess the narrative is going to be what the narrative has been, which is, I think we're done for now. Let's see what happens. and see how the economy reacts to what we've done so far. And I think that's basically the narrative. Okay, so we have that. Mortgage rates are at the highest levels they've been since 1995. A 30-year fixed rate mortgage is at 770. Refinancing went down 10% for the week. I don't know who's refinancing with interest rates at the highest levels in 95 since 95, but that's perplexing. And down 12% from a year ago. Still have no speaker in the House. A lot of dysfunctioning there. I mean, the rules that they put through for maintaining the spot on the last time was really kind of ridiculous, and it's a shit show, right? I mean, right? What are you going to say? Yeah, I would say I agree with what Twins just wrote, by the way. Egypt is out there saying that they shouldn't be solely responsible or fully responsible for the Gaza refugees. So effectively, they got nowhere to go. And it's a really humanitarian mess. No one wants these people. Hamas wants them as shields. No one else wants them in their country. And that's been part of the problem for a long time. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And then public opinion is really nasty as well, but let's try to move on a little bit. Let's see. Britain saying, it's a tragic event. Putin saying the same thing without saying who's to blame, and actually China saying the same thing. Okay, they're not posting blame; they're just saying it's just awful. Meanwhile, Putin and Xi have been meeting. There's no end or limits to their friendship, and that's not a good thing. I mean, look, guys, there's a bunch of countries out there that want to end democracy as we know it, right? We know who the cast of characters are: China, Iran, Russia, North Korea, and the beat goes on. Okay, so that's the deal that we are facing, and it's not a good situation. This Thomas Penifee was just on TV from Interactive Brokers. They asked him what he thought of the stock market. He says it's still too expensive. He uses a PEG ratio for his analysis, and he says based on the PEG ratio, stocks are going to go lower. What else did they ask him that was important? I had one other thing to say about that. Oh yes, and they asked him his biggest fear, and that is when the US has so many balls in the air with Ukraine and Israel that they make a play on Taiwan. We'll see. I wouldn't question it. Kyle Bass spoke. He's the Texas hedge fund manager that's been anti-China since God was a little boy. He's basically saying the US and China will completely decouple and Chinese stocks cannot be owned. Pentagon showed evidence Israel did not hit hospital. No one will believe. People believe what they want to believe, and that's the way it is. And social media is a mess. But that's that. That's what that's what those two guys are saying. GM's going to delay this all-electric truck production in Michigan, in a Michigan plant until late 25. Roblox is telling their employees that they have to come to work 3 times a week or they can take severance. So they're playing hardball. Morgan Stanley came out with earnings, okay? And weirdly enough, and this has not been the case for a really, really long time, actually their trading arm did pretty well. And their wealth management area is what missed, which I can't remember the last time that Morgan Stanley had a miss in the wealth management area and did better on the trading side. I don't know. I can't remember if I've ever seen that. So that's a first. So this premium that Morgan Stanley trades at We'll see what happens. If it happens again, they may lose some of that premium for sure. And you all had numbers. And the funny thing is, right, they give the pilots and whatnot 40% increase in pay. And they missed earnings. And they said, well, why'd you miss earnings? Because spiraling labor costs. Duh. I mean, really? That's what you have to say. And he says, and fuel was up, but it's the labor costs. And he has to put it into the, they have to put it into the equation. It could have been twins. That could very well be the case. That would definitely fall under the wealth management heading. So I don't doubt that's correct. Okay, let's look at earnings. All right. We have travelers came in, they were pretty good. Okay, now these, like I said, I've been saying these insurance stocks, all you got to look at is when you open the mail, how much they're increasing rates on all of us. And basically the states are letting them do it, right? Because in a lot of cases, they have to get state approval for the increases. Procter & Gamble hit the ball out of the park. Kudos to those guys. Abbott Labs had a pretty good quarter. With these guys, I don't know if it's past earnings or forward looking because of this these drugs, but I personally think these stocks are going to be a fantastic year-end tax play. When everybody gets out of them, I think they're going to bounce. I think they've been overdone on the sell side. Dow Chemical got an upgrade from Bank of America. Floor & Decor is being added to the S&P 400. Sage had a positive news also. SAGE. Let's see. Oh yeah, FDA granted orphan drug designation. FRLN got a takeover proposal from one of the big holders who had filed a 13D Sunoco. NTLA got the FDA a positive FDA on a new drug, and TALS merger was approved. On the short side, what did we have? UAL. So we have an airline. JBHT, we have a trucker. IBKR and Morgan Stanley, we have brokers. UNF, CFG, a bank missed. WAFD, SCL, ASML missed. So we've got something in the semi space. And BIO, CFO resigns. Guys, when I find a CFO resigning and I can't find the reason and I'm in the stock, hedge yourself, be careful. That's a really tremendous red flag in my book. Okay, he didn't say why. Be careful. All right, WLK was downgraded. NVIDIA is saying basically that these new rules will not have a meaningful impact on earnings, but the street doesn't believe them and they're taking the stock down regardless. We have Tesla and Netflix tonight. As far as building permits, basically in line, 147 versus 1.48, and housing starts 135 versus 138. I think we have two markets today, and hopefully there's not a ratcheting up of the problem in the Middle East. I think that might affect earnings. And one stock I want to point out, SPR missed earnings, okay, but the stock is ripping. So bad news, good action. Keep an eye on this one. That's one I'm going to be watching carefully. And the other ones I'll write down in the chat in a minute, okay? Because I'm out of time. So Spartan, it's all yours, my man.
All righty, thank you, South Beach. All right, there we go. Next. Looks like guys just updating one thing here. There we go. Okay. So if you guys are new to the chat, guys, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. Pop in a chat. It looks something a little bit like this. First area to go into when you do come in. Click on the disclaimer section. Give that a read. As well as go to the new to chat information section and scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, see a link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, guys. Most important ratio in trading. So definitely worth checking out there. Continue to scroll down. We have summary of how this chat works, breaks all the channels work on the left-hand side. So you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. That is important in order to be looking. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts from both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Continue to scroll down. We have the options rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules below that in regards to the SPX ideas. Continue to scroll down. We have anyone with a small account less than 10K breaking down. If you do have a smaller account less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place. You can better manage your account. How to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective below that. And lastly, high conviction small account trades posted in that area when they do make sense. All right, pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Tesla, NVIDIA, ALB, FND, SPR, and SPRC. So Tesla gapping down to safety the market, same with NVIDIA. ALB, both of securities downgrades to underperform from neutral, price target 161 from 212. FND, Florida Core Holdings to join the S&P mid-cap 400, gapping up. SPR, Spirit Aero Systems, Boeing enters into memorandum of agreement, gapping up there. And then SPRC fading off slightly after the last day's move. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two we're looking at today, guys, going to be that Tesla, going to be that NVIDIA. Let's have a gander at those. So Tesla, guys, what do we got? 254.16 pivot level holds 256.11 to 259.65. Unable to hold 251.92 to 247.43 on the downside. They're going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side there today if that pivot point is able to hold. NVIDIA pivot downside is going to be the 434.22, unable to hold 424.41, 415.33, able to hold 444.58 to 453.65 on the upside. I'm going to be leaning bearish neutral there for now, unless that pivot point is able to hold. Let's take a look at ALB. Let's take a look at FND. Oops, there we go. ALB pivot on the downside today, 166.04, levels able to reclaim 172.33 to 178.72. Unable to hold 162.02 to 156.64 on the downside, leading bullish neutral only if that pivot is able to be reclaimed. And last but not least, guys, FND pivot, 90.63 level holds 92.65, 95.12, unable to hold 88.36 to 86.27 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point is able to stay intact. So that's a SPY, or sorry, that's the individual names. Let's take a look at the SPR and SPRC. SPR, guys, pivot to the upside today. 18.99 level holds 19.54 to 26.26, unable to reclaim that. 21.25 on the upside, unable to hold 18.22 to 17.26 downside, leading bullish neutral there. SPRC pivot upside today. 5.55 level hold 708, 841, unable to hold 449 to 348 downside, leading bullish neutral there, looking for a continuation push higher if the pivot point is able to hold. All right, SPY and FANG. Market 434.22 pivot level holds 438.08, 441.40, unable to hold 431.43 to 428.49 on the downside, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside there. And let me just type this out as I always do. The SPY 434.22 pivots on the upside today. This level holds from higher into the 438.08 resistance. Breaks, we see the 441.40 tested. Pivot unable to hold. Room lower into the 431.43 support. Breaks, we see the 428.49 tested, leading bullish neutral. That's a SPY. All right. Posted that. Let's take a look at the rest of the FANG here. Apple. 176.80. Sorry, pivot to the downside today. Unable to hold 173.87. Able to hold 179.77 to the 182.13 on the upside. Overall, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side there today, looking for a continuation lower if the pivot point's unable to hold. Amazon pivot upside today is going to be the 131.83 levels able to reclaim 133.36 to 135.35, unable to hold 128.91. I am leaning bullish neutral, looking for a push back towards that pivot point. Netflix pivot to the upside today is going to be the, I should say downside, 351.76 level holds 357.45. 360.38, unable to hold 347.15 downside, leading bullish neutral only if that pivot point can hold. I'm thinking we do get a hold there, get a little bit of a bounce before their earnings, but you know, I won't trade anything of course unless you see it set up. Google, actually Meta first. I'm skipping ahead here. Meta pivot to the upside today, 324.85 level holds 330.80. Unable to hold 317.27 to 311.56, leaning bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at Google. I think I must have Google on the daily chart here. Google 139.85 level holds 141.31 to 142.56. Unable to hold 138.39, 136.71 downside, leading bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at the VIX, Qs, and IWM. VIX 1861 level holds 1927, 2022. Unable to hold 1813 to 1776 on the downside. QQQs 365.42 pivot level holds 369.27 to 376.63. Unable to hold 362.26. 362.66 to 358.65. Qs have been pretty good. I mean, they've been holding above the 50 MA. It's clear flag pattern right here. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a downtrend break today. Be watching that like a hawk, basically intraday there. Tech's been acting pretty well. And then obviously we look at the SPX, similar to the SPY, 43.54 pip pivot level holds 43.85 to 44.12. Unable to hold 43.28 to 43.05 downside. Stuck within the range. Watch that 50 MA and the 13 on the daily. I mean, it's been trading off the top and the bottom of those levels, and they've been working quite well for intraday trading. So definitely would continue to do so. Anywho, that's it, my friends, for now. Yeah, we'll kind of go from there. So, yeah, if you guys popped into the pre-market stream this morning, thanks for popping in. We'll see you guys next week. We do this every single Wednesday, and yeah, we stream every single day from 8 to 4 p.m. You guys are gonna come pop into chat, come